Akashvani presents Morning News. Good morning, I'm Anuja Kumar. The headlines. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres urges immediate action to de-escalate West Asia crisis following US military strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi arrives in Moscow to hold talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Under Operation Sindhu, over 1,800 Indian nationals evacuated from Iran and Israel. Counting of votes for by-elections to 5 assembly seats in 4 states begins. And at the Asian Para-Badminton Championship in Thailand, India register best ever performance, winning 27 medals. And now the news in detail. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres made an impassioned plea for peace during an emergency special session of the Security Council at UN headquarters in New York, urging immediate action to de-escalate the crisis in Iran following the US military strikes on the Islamic Republic's nuclear facilities, calling for urgent efforts to prevent dangers of retaliation and deeper conflict in the region. Guterres said, "We cannot and must not give up on peace."
We face a stark choice. One path leads to wider war, deeper human suffering, and serious damage to the international order. The other leads to de-escalation, diplomacy, and dialogue. We know which path is right. And I urge this Council and all Member States to act with reason, restraint, and urgency. We cannot and must not give up on peace.
Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has arrived in Moscow for talks today. He will hold consultations with the Russian President Vladimir Putin and other senior officials regarding regional and international developments following the military aggression by the United States. US President Donald Trump hinted at the possibility of a regime change in Iran. He also questioned the current leadership's ability to revive the nation. In a post on a social media platform, President Trump said, "If the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why should not there be a regime change?" US Vice President J.D. Vance declared today that his country was not at war with Iran, but only with its nuclear program, leaving the door open for diplomacy. Speaking on the morning after Operation Midnight Hammer, attacking Tehran's 3 nuclear facilities, Vance told the American television network he thinks the president took decisive action to destroy that program last night.
But we didn't blow up the diplomacy. The diplomacy never was given a real chance by the Iranians. And our hope, Kristen, as the president said repeatedly, is that this maybe can reset here. The Iranians have a choice. They can go down the path of peace, or they can go down the path of this ridiculous brinksmanship of funding terrorism, of trying to build a nuclear weapon. And that's just not something the United States can accept.
Iran's parliament has unanimously approved a dramatic proposal to close the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most critical oil and gas shipping route, in direct retaliation for US airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities at Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. The parliamentary decision represents a potentially catastrophic escalation that could trigger global economic chaos through final authority to implement the closure rests with Iran's Supreme National Security Council, which has not yet issued a formal order to execute the blockade. A report.
The Strait of Hormuz handles approximately 20% of global oil exports and a significant share of world's liquefied natural gas shipments, making it one of the most strategically vital maritime choke points on Earth. Senior Iranian lawmaker and Revolutionary Guard commander Ismail Qubsari stated that the parliament concluded the strait should be closed, but emphasized that the Supreme National Security Council holds the final decision-making authority. The potential economic impact extends far beyond energy markets, with economists warning that full closure could trigger cascading effects on global inflation and economic stability. Major economies in Asia and Europe, which rely heavily on West Asian energy supplies transiting through this narrow waterway, face the prospect of severe supply disruptions that could cripple industrial production and consumer markets. China's response remains critical to preventing this crisis, given Beijing's massive dependence on Persian Gulf oil imports that transit through the strait. While Chinese officials have not yet issued an official statement, American diplomats are pressing their counterparts in China to intervene with Iranian leadership before the situation spirals beyond control. This is Vinod Kumar for Akashvani News from Dubai.
Petroleum and Natural Gas Minister Hardeep Singh Puri said that the government has been closely monitoring the evolving geopolitical situation in West Asia since the past 2 weeks. In a social media post, Mr. Puri said that under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India has diversified its supplies in the past few years and a large volume of supplies do not come through the Strait of Hormuz now.
There is enough oil available in the global markets. More and more oil is coming on the global markets, and even the traditional suppliers would be interested in keeping the supplies on because they also need the revenue. So hopefully the market will factor that in. But as I said, the Modi government has over the past several years not only ensured the stability of supplies but also affordability. And we will take all necessary measures to ensure that.
Minister of State for External Affairs Pavitra Margarita welcomed a group of 285 Indian nationals who arrived in New Delhi last night on a special flight from Mashhad of Iran. He said that 1,713 Indian nationals have been evacuated from Iran under Operation Sindhu so far. He informed that 2 to 3 more flights have been scheduled from Iran for the next 2 days. Mr. Margarita added, the ministry is in constant contact with all Indian nationals residing in Iran and Israel.
Total number of evacuated Indian nationals from Iran stands now at 1,713, and we have scheduled 2-3 more flights from Iran for the next 2 days. And in the same way, we are constant contact with all our Indian nationals residing there in Iran and Israel also.
Talking to media, the returning Indian nationals thanked the Indian government for their safe evacuation.
We request our fellow Indians who are staying in Iran right now, they will definitely be rescued. Follow the protocol of the embassy. We are very grateful to the Indian government and the External Affairs Ministry.
मोदी जी की बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद. हम लोग तो उम्मीद नहीं समझ रहे थे कि वापस आएंगे, लेकिन सरकार ने बहुत बड़ा काम किया जो हम लोग आ गए हैं वापस.
हमारी गवर्नमेंट ने बहुत ज्यादा मदद करी है. We really appreciate their efforts so much.
फख्र महसूस कर रहे हैं कि हम भारत देश के निवासी हैं, जिसके इतने अच्छे प्राइम मिनिस्टर हैं कि हमको इतनी अच्छे से निकाल लिया.
The Indian nationals in Iran have been advised to stay in touch with the Indian embassy in Tehran through its emergency helpline and with the 24/7 control room established by the Ministry of External Affairs in New Delhi. With Israeli airspace closed and commercial flights suspended, the Indian missions in Israel and Jordan, in a joint effort, evacuated 160 Indian nationals in the first batch under Operation Sindhu. India launched Operation Sindhu last week to bring back Indians from Iran and Israel, given increasing hostilities between the two nations. The government has debunked the claims made by several social media accounts that Indian airspace was used by the United States to launch aircraft against Iran during Operation Midnight Hammer. The fact-check unit of Press Information Bureau termed the claim as fake, stressing that Indian airspace was not used by the United States. It said that Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of U.S., General Dan Kane, explained the routes used by the U.S. aircraft during a recent press briefing. This is Akashvani giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our X handle at AIR News Alerts. And for details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.gov.in and download the News on AIR app. The counting of votes is underway for the by-elections to 5 assembly seats in 4 states. The counting is taking place in Gujarat for the Visawadar and Kadai constituencies. Votes are also being counted for the Nilambur seat in Kerala, the Kaliganj in West Bengal, and the Ludhiana West in Punjab. The polling was held for these constituencies on the 19th of this month. Union Home Minister Amit Shah chaired a review meeting on combating Naxalism in Raipur last evening. Directors General of Police, Additional Directors General of Police and senior officials of 7 left-wing extremism-affected states, namely Chhattisgarh, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Jharkhand and Odisha participated in the meeting. Mr. Shah reiterated that the country will be free from Naxalism by March 31st next year. More from our correspondent.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah said that the Naxals who rest every year during the rainy season will not be able to sleep peacefully this monsoon because our security forces will continue their operations. Addressing a review meeting on Naxalism in Raipur, Union Home Minister said,
31/3/2023 2026 ये देश नक्सलवाद से मुक्त हो जाएगा। जिस तरह से सुरक्षा बलों ने पराक्रम किया है, हमारी सूचना एजेंसियों ने सटीक रणनीति बनाई, हमें लक्ष्य को सिद्ध कर रहेंगे। जो नक्सलवाद के रास्ते पर भटक कर चले गए हैं, वो सभी युवाओं को अपील करना चाहता हूं कि बहुत लुभावनी सरेंडर पॉलिसी विष्णुदेव जी ने बनाई। आइए हथियार डाल दीजिए और नए छत्तीसगढ़ की विकास की यात्रा में जुड़ जाइए।
He said that the central and Chhattisgarh government will fulfill all promises made to surrendered Naxalites and will also strive to provide even greater assistance. Vikalp Shukla, Akashvani News, Raipur.
Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla will inaugurate the National Conference of Estimates Committees of Parliament and state and UT legislative bodies in Mumbai today. He will also release the 75th anniversary souvenir of the Estimates Committee of Parliament. A report from our correspondent.
Chief Minister of Maharashtra Devendra Fadnavis and Chairperson of Committee on Estimates, Parliament of India, Dr. Sanjay Jaiswal, are scheduled to address the inaugural session of the National Conference in Mumbai today. During the two-day conference, delegates will deliberate on the theme Role of Estimates Committee in Effective Monitoring and Review of Budget Estimates for Ensuring Efficiency and Economy in Administration. Governor of Maharashtra C.P. Radhakrishnan will deliver the valedictory address on the concluding day tomorrow. Prarthana, Akashvani News, Mumbai.
And now, news from the world of sports. At the Asian Para-Badminton Championship in Thailand, India has registered the best ever performance, winning 27 medals. We have a report.
The medals include 4 gold, 10 silver and 13 bronze. Among the medalists were Paris Paralympics gold medalist Nitesh Kumar, Paris Paralympics silver medalist Murugesan and Paris Paralympics bronze medalist Manisha Ramdas. In cricket Anderson Tendulkar Trophy, India will resume their second innings with 96-run lead on day 4 at Headingley Leeds this afternoon. At the end of the day 3's play, which was cut short due to rain, India ended with at 90 for 2 with KL Rahul batting on 47 and skipper Shubman Gill batting on 6. Earlier, India kick-started the final session having secured a 6-run lead over England, who were bundled out for 465 runs in their first innings in reply to Team India's first innings total of 471 runs. Shubman Gill hit 147 runs, while Rishabh Pant scored 134 to India's big score. In hockey, the Indian men's hockey team ended its FIH Pro League 2024-25 campaign with a 4-3 victory against hosts Belgium in Antwerp yesterday. India's hard-fought win over Belgium ended their longest ever losing streak in men's hockey. Meanwhile, Indian women's hockey team suffered their 6th consecutive defeat after losing 2-0 against hosts Belgium in Antwerp. With Sayukta Yadav's report, Aishwarya Ranigam, Sports Desk, Akashvani.
The India Meteorological Department or IMD has forecast heavy to very heavy rainfall at isolated places over East Rajasthan and West Madhya Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Nagaland, Manipur, Assam and Bihar today. And now for a look at today's newspapers, it's over to Shagun Chopra.
Thank you, Anuja. West Asia crisis blows up with US striking 3 Iranian nuclear sites. Hindustan Times writes about PM Modi calling Iranian president urging de-escalation and saying diplomacy is the way forward. West Asia tensions may choke LPG supplies as Saudi Arabia, UAE and Qatar meet 95% of India's cooking gas requirements, notes the Economic Times. Indian Navy set to commission stealth frigate Tamal in Russia on 1st of July, cites the Tribune. The Pioneer says DGCA revised guidelines to prioritize safety, particularly during night operations or on wet runways. All 3 Pahalgam attackers from Pakistan, says NIA after arresting 2 in J&K for sheltering terrorists, states the Indian Express. And finally, for the first time, Delhi University School of Open Learning is offering a flexible new opportunity by launching certificate courses in 8 foreign languages, writes the Times of India. And with that, it's back to you, Anuja.
Thank you, Shagun. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres urges immediate action to de-escalate West Asia crisis following US military strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi arrives in Moscow to hold talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Under Operation Sindhu, over 1,800 Indian nationals evacuated from Iran and Israel. Counting of votes for by-elections to 5 assembly seats in 4 states begins. And at the Asian Para-Badminton Championship in Thailand, India registered best ever performance, winning 27 medals. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.